is over 100 days now that Nigeria closed all its land borders to tackle smuggling. The move is intended to address economic sabotage and arms smuggling, at the same time boost local production of rice, poultry and other consumables. The report of the research conducted by the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science on the effects of the border closure on the livestock subsector shows that more than 100,000 jobs have been created in the poultry industry alone, with the production of more than 450 million crates of eggs so far.
Before the border closure, poultry meat was heavily smuggled into the country through our land borders. The imported products, which are often of lower quality, attracted lower prices.
As Nigeria takes total control of the local market, the Institute of Animal Science says the livestock subsector, with a current net worth 1.6 trillion naira, will play a significant role in contributing to current government efforts to create a 100 million job.
The border closure has reportedly saved the local poultry industry about 50 billion naira since its commencement in October.
The institute also observed that these cases of cattle rustling and farmers-herders clashes have reduced drastically as part of the gains of the border closure. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And still on the advantage of the border closure, since the closure of the country's land borders by the federal government and the recent order against supply of petroleum products to border communities that are less than 20 kilometers to border lines, smuggling activities have reduced drastically. Simon Asher reports on compliance level.
Prior to the closure of the country's borders by the federal government, Gurun is one among many border communities in Adamawa State, which smugglers use its proximity with neighboring Cameroon Republic in cutting corners over the sales of petroleum products out of the country. The narrative is now for the better, as the petroleum product is now available to motorists and other users of the commodity, as long queues of motorists that often characterized the dry season is nowhere to be found, owing to the closure of the land borders by the federal government. Consolidating on the effort by the federal government, the surveillance team of the Department of Petroleum Resources in Adamawa State works tirelessly to ensure compliance and availability of the petroleum products.
All the filling stations that fall within the 20-kilometer restricted area were not operating when we visited, and they will remain so until the ban is lifted.
In Yola, Simon Asher, NTA News.
In other news, Nigeria Immigration Service will soon embark on compulsory drug test for its personnel. This is part of measures to rid the service of bad eggs. Comptroller General of Immigration disclosed this during the passing out parade of 509 converted and upgraded officers at the Nigeria Immigration Training School in Kano. Elizabeth Yila Lamido reports.
This marks the third conversion course training in Kano and the second to have taken place this year, with about 509 officers of the Immigration Service being upgraded to senior officers. The passing out parade was colorful with varied drills and march pass carried out by the graduates, including a silent drill performance.
I would like to tell officers and men that we will start a drug test. And the drug test starts with me. That's the name of the test. We'll make sure if you are taking, you better reduce, because it shows in your blood. We will give you guidelines for rehabilitation for some time and also do another test for you. If you refuse to reform, you know we cannot work with the drug officers. We cannot give arms to people who take drugs.
The Nigerian Immigration Service says the new categories of visa for the National Visa Policy will be rolled out early next year. The program came to an end with the presentation of awards to the most outstanding officers of the third converted and upgraded course. In Kano, Elizabeth Milalamido, NTA News.
Let's talk business now. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reviewed downward most charges and fees for banking services in a new guide to charges by banks, other financial and non-bank financial institutions with effect from January 1st, 2020, and calls on members of the public to acquaint themselves with the new rules. Director of Corporate Communications to the Apex Bank, Isaac Okurafo, explained some of the major highlights of the new guide released, to include removal of card maintenance fee on all cards linked to current accounts, a maximum of 1 naira per 1,000 naira for customer-induced debit transactions to third parties and transfers or lodgements to the customer's accounts in the other banks on current accounts only. Other prominent features include reduction in the amounts payable for cash withdrawals from other banks, automated teller machines from 65 naira to 35 naira after the third withdrawal within 1 month, an advance payment guarantee, which is now pegged at maximum of 1% in the first year and 0.5% for subsequent years on contingent liabilities. The new guide stipulates a one-off charge of 1,000 naira to the issuance of cards, irrespective of type, and no charge shall be required for prepaid cards, loading or unloading. Unstructured supplementary service data charges purchase with cash back will attract a charge of 100 naira per 20,000 naira, subject to cumulative 60,000 naira daily. Withdrawal while maintenance fee on cards linked to savings accounts has been reduced to a maximum of 50 naira per quarter. Account maintenance fee will henceforth not be applicable to savings accounts, and the guide stipulates a penalty of 2 million naira per infraction, or as may be determined by the CBN from time to time, for financial institutions that breach any provision of the guide. Away from business, let's look at security. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has directed the Assistant Inspectors General of Police and Commissioners of Police in charge of zonal and state commands nationwide to ensure that no stone is left unturned towards effectively implementing appropriate crime prevention strategies before, during, and after the festivities. In a statement, the Inspector General of Police calls for effective deployment of both human and material assets of the force in protecting the major highways, recreational centers, motor parks, places of worship, financial institutions, and government-private infrastructures, amongst others. The IGP strongly wants police operatives, especially those detailed to man highways, to desist from all forms of misconduct and abuse of the rights of the citizenry, as well as adhere strictly to laid down rules and standard operating procedures of the force. We have to take a pause from this end now as we join Michael in our Lagos Network Center to give us more reports. Hello, Michael.
Ruth, and welcome to Lagos. Minister of Defense Major General Bashir Magashi has reiterated the commitment of the federal government to tackling security challenges in the country. He was speaking at the combined graduation of the mid-level officers courses and the trainees of the Armed Forces Resettlement Center, Oshodi, in Lagos. Lynn Neneke reports.
The Nigerian Armed Forces Resettlement Center plays a critical role in meeting the increasing requirement of retiring servicemen of the armed forces by providing them with entrepreneurial and vocational skills to reintegrate them into civil life. Minister of Defense Major General Bashir Magashi advised participants to shun negative influences and engage in lucrative ventures, stressing the federal government's commitment to ensuring that service personnel are properly settled after 35 years of service to the nation.
This place has really developed to solve the problem of our soldiers who are wounded in the war front. Early 70s, we decided to rehabilitate them, and this center was fixed.
The 527 servicemen and women of the armed forces and 27 mid-level officers were trained in various entrepreneurial management and vocational courses.
It is therefore encouraged that you hold the professional ethics you have imbibed over the years by many provisions.
I intend to run a business center / computer school.
The center is also being proactive in pursuing its mandate, and this remodeled structure is a manifestation of the various plans to ensure a conducive environment for both trainees and personnel of the center. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
People living with sickle cell and other hemoglobin diseases can now live normal lifestyle as various natural supplements and options are readily available to boost their immune system as well as strengthen their health status. Dana Jalo reports on how participants can access these options.
Toyin Adeshola, she's 54 years old and she has been living with sickle cell anemia. She's here to tell us her experience. I don't want the people who are coming after us to go through the same challenges we had. There's more information out there, and that's why we provide free drugs, free consultations, and we inspire them to be the best they can be. This free medical outreach by a non-governmental organization, Brain and Body Foundation, is in collaboration with SAMI Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative. This gesture is for residents of Surulere axis of Lagos State. People turned out in their numbers to receive free medical checks. Brain, joint and other medical checks were offered for free.
These are what they gave me for free. I didn't pay kobo.
He's been using it, and ever since then, no crisis.
The primary preventive measure is for people to know their genotype, to go to a reputable organization where they can do their genotype and find out whether they are AAAS.
They need to eat a lot of folic acid, F4, all those things. Anything that has green with it, they need to eat a lot of it.
Recent statistics by the World Health Organization, WHO, revealed that 250 million people globally carry the genotype responsible for sickle cell and other hemoglobin diseases. In terms of prevalence, records shows that Nigeria ranks highest with about 20 to 30% of the population. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
They came out in their numbers to be part of the 2019 empowerment program of the Great Life Changers Foundation International, a humanitarian organization that caters for the rejected and downtrodden. Hingino John Adams reports that the lives of more than 2,000 widows were positively touched at the event.
Their story is one that touches the heart. Such situations are better imagined than experienced.
I can't remember the day that I've been mindful for my children.
Immediately my husband died. The only thing that they want to do for us is to share the children.
Their experiences are similar to several others gathered under this roof. Sometimes, all these women need is just a listening ear. But the good news is, someone somewhere is soothing their wounds and providing a shoulder to cry on. That is why the widows are here to have a taste of that milk of kindness.
Their impact is being felt and it's a large feat in ameliorating poverty in the States.
They have given me some money to start business so that we can eat with my children.
The Great Life Changers Foundation International is extending a hand of fellowship to widows. They not only cover their nakedness, but put food on their table.
My advice to them is to have faith in God and be hopeful that the best is yet to come.
Such kindness is coming at a time when Christians are expressing the love of God to mankind. Love, they say, is truly what makes the world go round.
If the society can believe in the principle of their religion, principle of their doctrine, everything will be very normal.
There's no greater joy one can have without touching the life of another person.
Individuals that God has blessed, that they can return back to the society.
For the visioner, it is all about showing genuine compassion to the helpless.
One day we were ministering and one of them ran into where we were ministering. They were chasing him. He has blood all over him. And they said he stole back. We helped him, we stopped the people from destroying him.
Like a mustard seed, The Great Life Changers Foundation International has grown into a big tree providing succor and relief to many in the society. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. The news continues in Abuja shortly after this break. Please stay tuned.
They swore an oath to serve our fatherland and defend the people. They traded their freedom, comfortable homes, and mortgaged their lives on the battleground for our unity and peaceful living. These are the great, fearless, loyal, and committed Nigerian armed forces who risked their lives courageously to safeguard our borders. But in the line of duty, many never returned. Nigerians, arise, let's celebrate our fallen heroes. Put on the remembrance emblem with pride to support the incapacitated and families of our fallen heroes.
It is indeed befitting to honor the memory of the gallant hearts and men who paid the supreme sacrifice to keep the country united.
President Muhammadu Buhari enjoins all ministries, parastatals, religious and corporate bodies to donate generously to the Emblem Appeal Launch. Send your donations to these accounts. Account name, Emblem Appeal Launch. Account number 393-200-7526. EcoBank Nigeria PLC.
Strengthening security architecture plus peace and national development on Tuesday Live this week. The program every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. promises to be incisive and informative. Don't miss it.
Not so fast. Look, I'm tired. I want to check out of this country for greener pastures.
Just calm down for a moment. Please sit down. Do you have a job where you're going to?
No, but someone is arranging,
Listen, Alinko. Checking out of this country without proper planning means one thing. Unimaginable begin. You know, I've been in the diaspora, but legitimately doing great things at home and abroad. As I've been saying, without the proper footing abroad, the risk is not worth it. Listen, Alinko, it's better to be home than be trapped abroad or even end up in prison.
My name's Mr. Muftau Abiodun Balogun. We started this business 4 years ago, and this is the production outlet where we do about 4,000 to 5,000 birds per day. With the closure of the border recently, we've been experiencing massive surge in demand. Our sales per day now is going to be between 15 to 20,000 birds. We needed to expand all avenues because of the multiplier effect it's creating. And the most interesting thing about this closure is that many of my farmers today are farmers we recruited recently, and they are young graduates. What the government is doing will lead us right. And I can tell you, if the government sustains this thing, sky will not even be our limit.
Latest news and updates from across Nigeria on NTA Nationwide. NTA Nationwide, weekdays by 4 p.m. Get it first, get it fresh.
Thanks for staying with us. Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has recused himself from the case of the detained convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, and has returned the case file to the Chief Judge for reassignment to another court. The presiding judge, Justice Ahmed Mohammed, cited the allegation of corruption leveled against the court as reason for declining to hear the case. And moving on now, the federal government has rejected the U.S. designation of Nigeria as a country that engages in or tolerates severe violations of religious freedom. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, pointed out that the religious tag stems from an orchestrated narrative that has long been discredited.
Lai Mohammed maintained that the good people of Nigeria enjoy unfettered freedom to practice their religion and therefore blamed failed politicians and disgruntled elements, some of them supposedly respected leaders, for latching on the religion as their trump card, especially in the run-up to the last general elections to oust the Buhari administration. The statement described as unfortunate that the United States fell for the antics of the discontented and unpatriotic few who will not hesitate to hang Nigeria out to dry on the altar of their inordinate ambition and their sheer animosity towards the present administration under President Muhammadu Buhari. The minister maintained that the Nigerian government is acutely aware of how the political opposition, in particular, had spared no resources in deriving political capital from the various security challenges in the country through deliberate effort to give religious coloration to the farmers, herders clashes and the Boko Haram insurgency in particular. These acts have undoubtedly helped to mislead the U.S. into concluding that the government is doing little or nothing to guarantee religious freedom in the country. However, Lai Mohammed stressed that the farmers' herders clashes have nothing to do with religion, but everything to do with environmental and socio-economic realities. And so the religious tag given to the clashes has no basis, but a very convenient platform for those who will very easily give a dog a bad name just to hang it. For Boko Haram terrorists, the statement stressed that the group is an extreme fanatic one who do not subscribe to the tenets of any religion, in spite of their pretense to Islamic adherence. Mohammed said the good news is that the government has succeeded in curbing the farmers' herders clashes through the implementation of proactive and multidimensional strategy, which is yielding remarkable results, just as it has largely defeated the Boko Haram insurgency. On the El Zakzaky issue, which was referred to in the report by the U.S. government, the Information and Culture Minister described it as a purely criminal matter, which is being handled by a court of competent jurisdiction. While calling for better understanding of the Nigerian situation, the minister said while the Nigerian government welcomes constructive criticism among the various religious groups.
Let's look at correctional reforms. 19 inmates have been granted freedom at the Kuje Area Council Correctional Facility by the Presidential Committee on Correctional Reforms and Decongestion. This brings the total number of inmates released across the country to more than 4,000. The release of the inmates is part of government's efforts at decongestion and reform in the correctional service to serve its purpose of integrating inmates into the society.
Behind the walls are cheers by some inmates when they heard the news that some of their colleagues are going home while they wait for their turn. Out of the 19 inmates that regained freedom, 8 were serving in for minor offences with option of a fine paid by various non-governmental organizations. After the cheers and appreciation, then came the heat from the chairman of the committee due to the lapses from some of the stakeholders in the justice sector.
2 years in prison, over 2 years in prison. All you are telling me of little stories. For hearing the protection file to the ministry, I don't know how long will you wait to be able to get.
With the capacity of 500, but currently housing more than 900 inmates, out of which more than 800 are those awaiting trial.
The significant thing about especially 2 of them that were released is that 2 of them, they have spent 13 years each.
Some of the inmates have been reassigned to other courts by the committee, while those who have no return day have given a date to return for the continuation of their cases to ensure speedy trial.
Let's look at amnesty. The federal government has assured beneficiaries of the Presidential Amnesty Funds program, especially those having trainings outside Nigeria, of adequate provision of funds. Coordinator of the program, Professor Charles Dakobo, made the promise at the Hyundai Dream Center in Koforidua, Ghana, where some beneficiaries are undergoing training in automobile, while assuring them of prompt release of their entitlements. Dakobo said he was at the training center to interact with them and address challenges.
I will take action about whatever you need, because sometimes when we stay far away from Abuja, we don't feel the pulse of our people who are here. But now that I'm here, I'll try and do my utmost in a very short time.
Training that if we come out, we should be able to have our own workshops with the empowerment scheme that will be given to us, not as a roadside mechanic, but a standard mechanic.
After meeting with the beneficiaries, the coordinator, Professor Charles Dakobo, was awarded the Africa Peacemaker Award for the peace sustained in the Delta region due to the faithful implementation of the amnesty program by the federal government.
We are happy that we are in a foreign place and yet they've recognized us. This accolade goes to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his continued support for the program and also for the beneficiaries who have laid out their arms to accept amnesty as the only way, as the only game in town, as the only way to help the Nigerian state to achieve their own potentials wherever they want to.
The team also visited the Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Ambassador Femi Michael Abikoye, who commended the amnesty program, describing it as a model to other African countries. And talking security now, Governor May Malabuni of Yobe State has commended the Army, the Air Force and other security forces for their gallantry and resolve in the wake of the attempt by Boko Haram insurgents to infiltrate Damaturu, the state capital, yesterday. In a statement by Commissioner of Information and Home Affairs, Abdullahi Bego, the governor said he has been briefed on the incident and commended the security forces for the sustained onslaught against the insurgents, which deny them a chance to conduct their campaign of terrorist violence in Damaturu. The governor calls on people in Damaturu and across the state to remain calm and resilient and to continue to pray for improved peace and security. The governor specifically urges imams and other religious leaders to intensify prayers in places of worship for divine intervention in the security situation in the state and the country. Governor Buni also urges people to continue to support the efforts of the military and other security forces by providing any information they may have on any suspicious movements or activity. The governor, who is currently in Saudi Arabia for the Umrah, has also observed, along with numerous other people, special prayers for Almighty Allah to protect the people of Yobe State and the rest of the country from the evils of terrorists, insurgents and other criminals. Still on security now, to ease the provision of consumables to troops in Northeast, the Nigerian Army has developed a solar-powered mobile bakery. Now, how does that work? Defense correspondent Ismail Musa was at the Nigerian Army Command Engineering Depot, Kaduna, venue of the intervention, and tells us more now.
Arms and troops' motivation are among major factors responsible for the success of any military operation. To ensure easy and steady supply of consumables like bread, to boost the morale of troops in the ongoing counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast, the Nigerian Army developed this multi-purpose mobile bakery. Dr. Ibrahim Sorajo, the head of Department Mechatronic Engineering, Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, is the brain behind the innovation.
All the bakeries in the field, in the Northeast in particular, have been shut down or vandalized. So we decided to bring back into this research in collaboration with the DICON and the CED to come up with a unit that is mobile, that doesn't require any fixed structure, that can serve other purposes and provide the necessary things we require, the bread and other pastries like meat pie and any other thing that the troops would need as far baking is concerned.
The machine, with an independent mixer, has two components, one powered by solar energy, while the other through a mobile gas cylinder.
It can provide electricity in the field at night, and then troops can charge their communication radios and mobile phones as well as laptops.
These and other innovations are geared towards the development of the nation's military-industrial complex.
This Panhard AML-60 had been modified. The modification is based on converting the air-cooled engine of 256 horsepower to water-cooled Toyota 290 horsepower.
From the Nigerian Army Vehicle Manufacturing Company in Kaduna, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Thank you, Ismail. Mind-blowing innovations there. Let's join Zemret now in Jos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Zemret.
And welcome to Jos. Plateau State Police Command is assuring residents of the state of its preparedness towards providing adequate security for a crime-free Christmas and New Year celebration. This was at a media briefing by the Commissioner of Police, Isaac Akimoyede, to intimate journalists on the successes of the command in 2019 and the strategies for a hitch-free Yuletide. Ekemeren Kaneng Ladoja reports.
From January to date, 3,027 persons were arrested in connection with different offences. 50 persons were charged to court on culpable homicide, 48 for armed robbery, 6 for kidnapping. For rape, 71 persons were arrested and charged to court. Unlawful possession of firearms recorded 76 persons. Theft and other stealing had 512, as well as 2,120 persons arrested for other offences.
Police vehicular patrols have been intensified to stem the tide of crime. Adequate security provisions have been made to cover places of worship and relaxation.
Other measures taken to ensure safety of residents during the Christmas are 24 hours surveillance and patrol of motor parks, points of departure, shopping malls, fireworks, and knockouts.
The members of the public are advised to be more circumspect and observe simple security hints in protecting their life and property.
Mr. Akimoyede appreciated residents and urged them to cooperate with law enforcement agents to ensure a peaceful Yuletide celebration in Jos. Ekemeren Kaneng Ladoja, NTA News.
Contractors handling various projects within Plateau Central Zone may lose their contracts unless they accelerate works and complete the projects on schedule for immediate use. Governor Simon Lalong gave the directive while inspecting ongoing projects in Mangu and Pangshin local government areas of the state. Priscilla Grumnan reports.
On arrival at the construction site of the Potato Tissue Culture Laboratory in Mangu local government area, the governor was taken round by the project engineer who explained that the complex is ready for use. The governor expressed his satisfaction at the level of work and said the plant will provide the state ample opportunity to produce improved potato variety, which will also be exported.
When we start exporting potatoes, it will be the best in West Africa. So we have keen interest in this.
The governor inspected the Lalong Legacy project in Daika, Mangu local government area, where a state-of-the-art hospital is being erected to serve the health needs of the people. The project, located within the premises of Government College Pangshin, was the next port of inspection by the governor, where the school is expected to be completed and equipped with state-of-the-art facilities to meet up with the modern trend in education.
I deliberately came to overhaul Government College Pangshin. It was usually a craft school. Now we're emphasizing on skill acquisition. We want all our youths and women to go back to having one skill or the other.
At all the project sites visited, the governor stressed that contractors must deliver quality projects that will be commissioned soon. From Pangshin local government area, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
1,000 residents of Wase and Langtang North in Plateau State have benefited from a free medical outreach and presentation of relief materials by the Operation Safe Haven. Dung Chung has details.
The free medical outreach is part of the corporate social responsibility of the Operation Safe Haven. It is aimed at putting smiles on the faces of these vulnerable persons as they cannot afford to access proper health care within their locality.
There were so much smiles on the faces of the communities, and then that shows that there is hope that the people would key into the agenda of the Chief of Defense Staff, which is to ensure participation of the communities in security within the joint operation area.
Relief materials were also presented to cushion their hardship. Items donated include foodstuffs, toiletries, clothing, beddings, among others.
We are very much happy to see you people and to attend to the program.
I appreciate them for giving us this medicine free. In fact, we appreciate them too much for what they did to us.
The beneficiaries cut across the aged, pregnant women, children, and youth from Kadarko in Wasi, Dumtru, NTA News.
That's it from Jos. There's more on Nationwide with Ruth in Abuja.
Many thanks, Zenret, and welcome back to Abuja. It would appear that there is no alternative to the provision of integrated infrastructure to facilitate the full deployment of technology in Nigeria's electoral process. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria were unanimous in their views that though Nigeria's electoral process has improved, but comparatively, the country still lags behind on best practices. Let's hear from Lydia Sampson.
Nigeria has already deployed technology in many sectors with visible gains and positive effects, like in the banking sector. This has increased the clamor for similar deployment of technology in the electoral process. But Gaston Good Morning Nigeria, who commended INEC for so far using technology in the process of registration and accreditation of voters, however, observed that requisite infrastructure and orientation are lacking for the launching of e-voting.
It will make our systems more efficient. It will generally remove human interference in the process. And people think, for example, it will help in terms of snatching of ballot boxes and things like that. Technology can do a lot for us, no doubt. The legal regime does not permit for electronic voting for now. When it's amended, then probably we'll get there.
We must work on our attitude as politicians on one hand and as electorates on the other hand, because you can have a situation whereby because of our desperate nature, we want to be system by hook or crook.
Attitude of Nigerians to continue to ask for, the next level at every given opportunity, shying away from perhaps their inability to make good of, the present circumstances that they find themselves in.
For some of the guests, the issue is not about e-voting or manual voting, but the willpower to address what they call dysfunctional systems that allow defaulters get away with criminality without punishment.
It's not real. And so the problem we have, which reflects in our electoral process, is that our institutions are very weak and they're all politically smeared.
Election is a cycle. We focus on election day activities, but we need to talk about how we can apply technology to pre-election and post-election activity as well. How do we use, how do we use technology to target, some of the election stakeholders?
While some of the guests are categorical that Nigeria is not yet ready for completely embracing technology in our electoral process, others believe the country cannot be left behind and that INEC should make further progress in deploying technology for elections. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Nigerian Navy boosts its technical base. An update on Ekiosa fire incident in Benin. Egwari is already standing by to bring us details of this and more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Egwari.
Hello, Rose. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to Benin. 100 million naira has been approved to compensate victims of the fire incident in Ekiosa, a major market in Benin City. Governor Godwin Obaseki disclosed this while on inspection to ascertain the level of destruction. Obehi Otoba Presai reports.
Deputy and the Commissioner of Police. To the Governor, the outbreak is one too many. He promises succor for the victims. just as investigations are on to get to the root of the fire suspected to be arson.
For those states, we not get borehole, we not get fire hydrant, I will close them down. Every market must get water and get your fire hydrant. So that if fire comes, even before truck comes, we will take water from there to quench the fire.
We are joining hands with the fire services because it's their field for the investigation. But what I promise is that a deep investigation is going on, and anybody, and I repeat, anybody that has a hand in this will not be left.
The governor also visits the Edo State Property Agency, also affected by the fire. While the public is yet to come to terms with the Ekiosa fire, a one-story building at JBS Estate in the government residential area in Benin has also been razed by fire. In Benin, Obahi Otoba Presai, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy has increased its technical base with the graduation of about 200 engineers from the Naval Engineering College in Saple, Delta State. Anwuli Okolo reports.
The ceremony began with an inspection by the flag officer commanding Naval Training Command, Rear Admiral Stanford Enoch. The graduates consist of the artificer courses A30B and A32A, Automobile Mechanic Course 20, Basic Mechanic Course 31, Third-Rate Driving Qualifying Course, Second-Rate and Third-Rate Fireman courses, amongst whom were 9 Nigerian Army engineers.
Your main duty is to make sure these great assets are maintained and remain in top form to ensure effective security of maritime borders.
At the ceremony were representation from various security agencies. High point of the ceremony was presentation of awards to best graduating students. The Nigerian Naval Engineering College was founded in 1982 and was established to produce technical manpower in sufficient number and quality to meet the engineering requirement of the Nigerian Navy. It consists of 7 schools through which it offers 13 courses. From Saple, Anwuli Okolo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Benin Network Center, in conjunction with Christ's Chosen Church of God International, have organized this year's Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols to herald the birth of Jesus Christ. Ifeoma Okafor reports that it was a moment of joy for the congregation as they had a swell time from different choir renditions. The report.
Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols is one of the features of Christmas. It has become a tradition for NTA Benin Network Center and Christ's Chosen Church of God International co-hosting the event. The 9 lessons read by different individuals capture the mystery in the conception and symbolic birth of Jesus Christ. There were spectacular performances by the choirs, including the NTA and Christ Chosen Church of God International Choir. On the cake were the performances of Little Tehina Yakubu and Reverend Father Chima Okosisi. The Christmas message by the General Overseer, Christ Chosen Church of God, captured the essence of the season.
Christ also came to make our world a better place to live.
The co-host also believes that love is the ultimate gift of the season.
All Christians come together in one roof. They all speak with one voice and sing with one voice and give this message in one voice.
The theme of this year's Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols is Behold the Prince of Peace. In Benin, Ifeoma Okafor, NTA News.
That ends our package. Ruth, it's back to you.
Thank you, Egwari. And just like Benin, NTA Okwa was not left out, as it was a moment to remember. As the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Okwa held a maiden edition of 9 lessons and carols with the theme, Jesus Our Savior. Chinyere Fesi Okoye will tell us all about it.
Worship is God. Worship Him.
That call to worship led by NTA staff sets the tone for the historic event, which began with an opening prayer by Reverend Father Michael Keynes Obala, the representative of Catholic Bishop of Awka Diocese, before the host, General Manager of NTA Awka, Olaide Ajala, presented a welcome address.
NTA Awka is holding these lessons and carols to give us an opportunity to reflect on the Christ child's birth. The event will make us to hear the word of God, sing melodious tunes to our Maker.
Having appreciated the guest, she equally sets the pace for the 9 lessons and carols as she read the first lesson from Genesis chapter 3, 8 to 15, then 17 to 19, while the second lesson was taken by the Managing Director, Electronics Development Institute, LD, Dr. Patrick Oku, with All Souls Choir in Nguku and Master Music School, Oka, taking the intermittent carols, respectively. Other lessons and carols were equally taken accordingly by different dignitaries in attendance and choristers from various parishes across Anambra State who proved their mettle in their performances. Festival of Carol and 9 Lessons is a service of Christian worship traditionally celebrated on or near Christmas Eve. The story of the fall of humanity, the promise of the Messiah, and the birth of Jesus Christ is told in 9 short Bible lessons from Genesis, the prophetic books and Gospels, interspersed with the singing of Christmas carols, hymns, and choir anthems.
All right, and Maiduguri Network Center is next to bring us more reports on Nationwide as we join Abubakar, who is already standing by. Hello, Abubakar.
Hello, Ruth, and thanks for joining us in Maiduguri. Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Olusegun Gabriel Adeniyi, has reiterated the command's commitment to clear remnants of Boko Haram terrorists through sustained aggressive operations within the theatre. He gave the assurance while receiving Christmas gifts presented to the Army by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Army, Muhammad Ali Ndumi, at the Memolari Cantonment, Maiduguri. Memuna Garba now reports.
The gesture by the Chairman Senate Committee on Army was to further boost the morale of troops and appreciate their effort in maintaining peace in the region. The Christmas gift, which include 10 bulls and 20 jerrycans of cooking oil, were handed over to the theatre commander by representative of Senator Muhammad Ali Ndumi, Adumu Timta. He said the benevolence was a mark of respect and recognition of soldiers' effort in the counter-insurgency war, stressing that 50 bags of rice will also be delivered to the army. Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Olusegun Adeniyi, while thanking the senator for the gesture, assured him of the command's continued zeal to rout the insurgents and to restore lasting peace to the region.
He is one senator that has been standing firm behind this operation. Within the National Assembly, on media, and in the general society. We thank him for that.
Major General Adeniyi further assured that troops of Operation Lafia Dole will not compromise rules of engagement in the restoration of peace to the northeast region. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
In the spirit of Christmas celebration, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umara Zulum has directed the distribution of bulls and other food items to Christian community through a high-powered committee set up for the gesture. Led by the head of service, Barrister Simon Mulgui, the committee swung into action, reaching out to the target beneficiaries within and outside Maiduguri. Naomi Aboku has the rest of the story.
Over the years, Christian community in the state has enjoyed the cordial relationship
existing between its members and the government. This is evident, especially as clearly exhibited by the past administration and now the Zulum administration, where in seasons such as this, the Christian community is not left out but being carried along.
We have given all the 9 local government areas where there are Christian communities, so they are going back there to make the distribution. Here also we recognize JERI and MMC. The Christian Association of Nigeria is recognized as a body, and all the barracks.
At the cattle market, members of the Committee for Distribution of Christmas Gifts by the state government took time to select the well-fed bulls as directed by Governor Babagana Umara Zulum.
Well, we want to appreciate His Excellency Professor Umara Zulum for sustaining the temple, the tradition of reaching out to the Christian community.
On behalf of Christian community, we feel we are very grateful to him and to his government.
Other items procured by the committee were bags of rice, cooking oil, and assorted soft drinks. It is indeed a demonstration of love and kindness towards the Christian community as they are being carried along in the affairs of government in Maiduguri. Naomi Abu, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force says it will continue to work towards improving the sanitary condition of internally displaced persons, especially among women and children, considering their vulnerability. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, represented by the Air Task Force Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Air Commodore Precious Amadi, stated this while presenting dignity packs to girls at Dalori IDP's camp in Maiduguri. The report. The presentation of dignity packs to the internally displaced persons is a directive by the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, following his last visit to Dalori camp, where some girls requested for sanitary pads and toiletries. Presenting the dignity packs to the girls on behalf of the Chief of Air Staff, Air Task Force Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Air Commodore Precious Amadi said the Nigerian Air Force had made the issue of hygiene and sanitary condition of IDPs one of its areas of concern.
This is just the beginning of the support, and we will continue to ensure support to IDPs. The Nigerian Air Force is known for this kind of humanitarian gestures.
Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umara, who was represented by the Chairman, State Emergency Management Agency, Yabao Kolo, commended the Air Force for the series of support extended to victims of insurgency and assured that the items will be properly utilized.
I'm so glad he's a man of his words. He has kept to his promise, and for a start, it's a very good number. He has started with 500 kits.
The beneficiaries prayed for the overall success of the Nigerian Air Force in winning the war against terrorism. Other IDP camps across the state are expected to benefit from similar gesture. That's our contribution from Maiduguri. Let's take a break now. Ruth in Abuja will be back with more stories on Nationwide.
20 years of travel and counting. 20 years of promoting tourism in Africa and diaspora. Over 3 million kilometers traveled. Over 30 African countries visited. Explored the diaspora in 4 continents. Connected over 100,000 happy tourists to Africa. Reached over 50 million homes. Igniting smiles across Africa and beyond. As Goge Africa turns 20, we thank you and invite you to join us in the quest for 20 must-visit destinations in partnerships with the largest TV network in Africa, the NTA, Ministry of Information and Culture, Ministry of Transportation, Studio 24, Delta Airline, toll brokers and...
I'm Deputy Comptroller of Customs Joseph Atta, the spokesman for the joint security exercise. Over a period of time, either through indifference or deliberate non-compliance to the ECOWAS protocol on transit of goods by our neighbors, the Nigerian Customs Service have been raising this issue. MOUs were signed severally. They were broken as soon as they were signed. We've seized over 32,050 kg bags of rice, and that is a huge impact. And then the fact that the coming in of this foreign rice has been completely shut down. We've gone around, we've received testimonies of farmers who, before now, found it difficult to sell 1 truck on a market day. These people say it now that those who could not sell 1 can now sell up to 20 trucks.
These days,
People get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
This Saturday,